It was a quiet evening in the small town of Willow Creek, where life moved at its own unhurried pace. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of orange and purple before giving way to the deep indigo of night. People were settling into their routines, some preparing dinner, others watching television or scrolling through their phones. Children played outside until their parents called them in for bedtime. Everything seemed normal, peaceful even. But no one could have predicted what was about to happen. High above the sleepy little town, something strange began to stir. At first, it was nothing more than a faint hum, so low that most people dismissed it as the wind rustling through the trees or the distant rumble of thunder. But the sound grew louder, vibrating through the ground beneath their feet. It wasn't long before curiosity got the better of the townsfolk. One by one, they stepped out of their homes to see what was causing the disturbance. As they looked up, their breath caught in their throats. There, in the vast expanse of the night sky, something extraordinary was unfolding. The stars, which moments ago had twinkled innocently, now seemed to flicker and dim. A crackling noise filled the air, like static electricity amplified 1,000 times over. Then, without warning, the heavens themselves appeared to split apart. Massive fissures tore through the fabric of space, glowing edges revealing something far beyond human comprehension. From these rifts emerged colossal structures, ships so large they dwarfed entire cities. Their metallic surfaces shimmered under an otherworldly light, reflecting hues of silver and gold. These weren't mere spaceships, these were titans of destruction, each bristling with weapons and technology far beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. They hung motionless in the sky, casting ominous shadows over the land below. For a moment there was silence, a collective holding of breath, as if the world itself was frozen in awe and terror. The initial shock quickly gave way to panic. Phones buzzed incessantly as people frantically called loved ones, sharing videos and pictures of the alien ships hovering ominously above. Social media erupted with posts, hashtags trending worldwide within minutes. Governments scrambled to respond, issuing statements urging calm while secretly mobilizing military forces. Fighter jets roared into the sky, tiny specks compared to the gargantuan vessels looming overhead. Yet, despite the show of force, no attack came from the aliens. Instead, a voice boomed across the globe, resonating in every language imaginable. "We are here," the deep, resonant voice declared, "not as conquerors but as allies." The message repeated itself, echoing through radios, televisions, and even directly into people's minds. It spoke of peace, unity, and cooperation, promising to share knowledge and resources to help humanity reach new heights. Some listened with cautious optimism, clinging to the hope that this encounter might lead to unprecedented advancements. Others remained skeptical, convinced that such promises were too good to be true. After all, history had taught them to distrust anything unfamiliar, especially when it arrived uninvited. But behind the scenes, aboard the lead star destroyer, the situation was far more complex. The alien commanders watched footage of Earth's reaction with growing unease. They had anticipated resistance, chaos, perhaps even primitive attempts at retaliation. What they hadn't expected was the sheer audacity of humanity's response. Scientists worked around the clock, analyzing fragments of alien technology recovered during earlier encounters. Engineers reverse-engineered these scraps, creating makeshift defenses and weapons capable of challenging the invaders. Ordinary citizens banded together, forming networks of communication and support. Entire populations mobilized, turning basements into bunkers and garages into workshops. Even more alarming was the emergence of global alliances. Nations that had once been bitter rivals set aside their differences, pooling resources and intelligence to prepare for whatever might come next. Humanity wasn't cowering in fear. Instead, it was adapting, innovating, and organizing at a pace that left the aliens astounded. Each passing hour brought new developments, new strategies, new technologies, new displays of resilience. It became clear that Earth wasn't going to roll over and submit. Deep within the command center of the lead star destroyer, the alien leader stood staring at holographic projections of Earth's defenses. His advisors hovered nearby, whispering, "Urgent updates." "This species, they're unlike anything we've encountered before," he muttered, his voice tinged with both admiration and dread. "They adapt faster than we can anticipate, if we push them too far." He trailed off, letting the implications hang heavy in the air. For centuries, his people had traveled the galaxy, conquering worlds and subjugating civilizations. Never before had they faced an adversary quite like this. Meanwhile, on Earth, tensions continued to rise. Military leaders debated whether to launch preemptive strikes, while scientists argued for diplomacy. The general public remained divided, some calling for immediate action and others pleading for restraint. Amidst the chaos, however, a glimmer of hope emerged. Small acts of kindness began to spread, neighbors helping neighbors, strangers offering shelter, communities coming together to face the unknown. It was a reminder that, even in the darkest of times, humanity's greatest strength lay not in its weapons or technology, but in its ability to unite and persevere. Back aboard the Star Destroyer, the alien commander made a decision. Rather than risk open conflict, he ordered his fleet to stand down. Diplomatic envoys descended to Earth, landing in major cities around the globe. They were met with a mix of fear and curiosity, but also cautious optimism. Treaties were signed, agreements forged, and knowledge exchanged. Slowly but surely, humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not as victims, but as equals. Years later, when historians looked back on the events of that fateful week, they called it the dawn of unity. The day Earth proved that courage and hope could overcome even the greatest threats. And high above, where the Star Destroyers once loomed menacingly, now floated symbols of cooperation. Joint human-alien research stations exploring the cosmos together. In the end, it wasn't weapons or technology that saved humanity. It was the unyielding belief that tomorrow could always be better than today. And so, the story of Earth's encounter with the alien fleet became legend, a tale passed down through generations, inspiring countless others to dream of a brighter future. For though the universe was vast and full of mysteries, one truth remained constant. When faced with adversity, humanity's spirit burned brightest. The initial shock of the alien arrival had worn off, but the world remained on edge. Days turned into weeks, and humanity's response to the extraterrestrial presence evolved in ways no one could have predicted. While the aliens claimed to come in peace, their sheer size and technological superiority left many questioning their true intentions. Governments worldwide were torn between preparing for war and embracing diplomacy. Meanwhile, ordinary people continued to adapt, driven by a mix of fear, hope, and determination. On board the lead Star Destroyer, the alien commander paced the bridge, his advisors whispering updates into his earpiece. The data streaming in from Earth was overwhelming. Every hour brought new reports of human ingenuity. Underground bunkers fortified with reverse-engineered alien tech, makeshift satellites launched into orbit, and even attempts to decode the invaders' communication systems. "They're learning faster than we anticipated," one advisor admitted nervously. "Their resourcefulness is unprecedented." The commander stopped mid-step, his glowing eyes narrowing as he studied holographic projections of Earth's surface. Cities once bustling with chaos now hummed with organized activity. Factories repurposed machinery to produce weapons capable of targeting their ships. Scientists collaborated across borders, sharing discoveries that would have taken decades under normal circumstances. Even civilians played a role, using social media to spread information and coordinate efforts. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was thriving under pressure. But what troubled the aliens most was not humanity's technology. It was their spirit. For every act of aggression they prepared, there were countless acts of kindness. Neighbors shared food and supplies with those in need. Volunteers worked tirelessly to build shelters for displaced families. Artists painted murals of unity, while musicians composed songs of hope. These small gestures created something far more powerful than any weapon, a sense of purpose. No matter how dire the situation seemed, humans refused to give up. They believed in a better tomorrow, and that belief fueled their resilience. Back on Earth, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Military leaders argued over whether to strike first, fearing the aliens might be planning an attack. Civilians staged protests, demanding transparency from their governments. Conspiracy theories ran rampant online, fueled by misinformation and fear. Yet amid the uncertainty, pockets of cooperation began to emerge. In New York, engineers worked alongside physicists to develop energy shields based on fragments of alien tech recovered during earlier encounters. In Tokyo, programmers hacked into abandoned drones, reprogramming them to serve as reconnaissance tools. And in remote villages across Africa, farmers pooled resources to create self-sustaining communities, ensuring survival regardless of what happened next. One such community was led by a woman named Amina. Living in a small village nestled in the mountains of Kenya, she had initially dismissed the alien invasion as someone else's problem. But when news of global unrest reached her, she realized that staying passive wasn't an option. Gathering her neighbors, Amina organized a plan to fortify their village. Using scrap metal salvaged from old cars and solar panels scavenged from nearby towns, they built a network of defensive structures powered entirely by renewable energy. It wasn't much compared to the aliens' advanced weaponry, but it gave them a fighting chance and a reason to keep going. Meanwhile, scientists at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, made a breakthrough that would change everything. By studying alien debris, they discovered a way to manipulate dark matter, unlocking untapped sources of energy. This newfound knowledge allowed them to construct a prototype device capable of disrupting the aliens' cloaking technology. Though still in its infancy, the invention offered a glimmer of hope. If humanity could expose the invaders' vulnerabilities, they might stand a chance against them. As word of these developments spread, morale began to rise. People started seeing themselves not as victims, but as survivors. Social media campaigns encouraged individuals to contribute however they could, whether by donating supplies, volunteering their skills, or simply spreading messages of hope. One viral video showed a group of children holding signs that read, "We are not afraid." Another featured a musician playing a hauntingly beautiful melody on a piano made from scraps of metal found in a junkyard. These moments reminded everyone that humanity's strength lay not in its weapons, but in its ability to unite and persevere. Even within the confines of the Star Destroyer, the aliens couldn't ignore the growing evidence of human resolve. Reconnaissance. Missions sent to Earth revealed scenes that defied logic. In Paris, artists projected images of peace onto the Eiffel Tower, sending a message to the invaders that humanity valued creativity over destruction. In Mumbai, crowds gathered in the Tiar streets lighting candles and singing songs of unity. And in Antarctica, researchers braved sub-zero temperatures to set up monitoring stations, determined to understand the aliens' motives. The alien commander watched these events unfold with a mixture of awe and apprehension. His species had conquered countless civilizations, each falling victim to their superior firepower and strategic brilliance. But never before had they encountered a race so tenacious, so adaptable. Humans didn't just fight back. They adapted, innovated, and inspired one another. Their capacity for hope seemed limitless, driving them to achieve feats that should have been impossible. Yet, despite their admiration, the aliens couldn't afford to underestimate humanity. Reports indicated that Earth's defenses were nearing completion. Underground networks spanned continents, connecting military bases, research facilities, and civilian strongholds. Satellites equipped with experimental EMP devices orbited the planet, ready to disable alien systems at a moment's notice. Even children played games designed to teach them survival skills, turning playgrounds into training grounds. The aliens had expected resistance, but nothing like this. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the alien commander convened an emergency meeting with his top advisors. "If we proceed with our original plan," he said gravely, "we risk provoking a conflict we cannot win. Humanity may lack our technology, but their spirit makes them formidable opponents. We must reconsider our approach." His words sparked heated debate among the council members. Some argued for immediate withdrawal, claiming the mission had become too dangerous. Others insisted on pressing forward, convinced that humanity's advances could be suppressed with enough force. Ultimately, it was the commander who cast the deciding vote. "We came here seeking allies," he reminded them, "not enemies. Let us extend a hand of friendship rather than a fist of conquest." With that decision made, the aliens initiated a new phase of contact. Smaller vessels detached from the Star Destroyers descending toward Earth on diplomatic missions. Their goal was simple: to establish open lines of communication and foster trust. Envoys landed in major cities around the globe, greeted cautiously but warmly by human representatives. Treaties were signed, agreements forged, and knowledge exchanged. Slowly but surely, humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not as victims but as equals. For the people of Earth, the transition wasn't easy. Decades of mistrust couldn't be erased overnight. Skeptics questioned the aliens' motives, pointing to their overwhelming firepower as proof of ulterior designs. Others embraced the opportunity for collaboration, eager to learn from a civilization far older and more advanced than their own. Despite these divisions, one thing remained clear. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing tall in the face of adversity. Years later, when historians reflected on the events of that fateful period, they called it the dawn of unity, the day Earth proved that courage and hope could overcome even the greatest threats. High above, where the Star Destroyers once loomed menacingly, now floated symbols of cooperation. Joint human-alien research stations exploring the cosmos together. In the end, it wasn't weapons or technology that saved humanity. It was the unyielding belief that tomorrow could always be better than today. And so, the story of Earth's encounter with the alien fleet became legend, a tale passed down through generations, inspiring countless others to dream of a brighter future. For though the universe was vast and full of mysteries, one truth remained constant. When faced with adversity, humanity's spirit burned brightest. The days following the aliens' diplomatic overtures were a whirlwind of activity on Earth. Humanity, still wary but cautiously optimistic, began to engage with their extraterrestrial visitors in earnest. The envoys sent by the alien fleet landed in major cities worldwide, each carrying messages of peace and cooperation. Yet, beneath the surface of this newfound alliance, tensions simmered. People wondered if the aliens truly intended to help, or if they were biding their time, waiting for humanity to lower its guard. In Washington, D.C., representatives from various nations gathered at the United Nations headquarters for an unprecedented summit. The room buzzed with anticipation as world leaders sat side by side, united in purpose for perhaps the first time in history. At the center of the stage stood Ambassador Elena Rodriguez, a seasoned diplomat known for her calm demeanor and sharp intellect. She addressed the assembly, her voice steady and clear. "Today marks a turning point for our species," she declared. "We have been given a chance to step beyond our planet and join the stars, but we must approach this opportunity with both caution and courage." As negotiations progressed, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between human and alien technology. Teams of researchers collaborated with alien envoys, exchanging knowledge and ideas. It was a delicate process. Language barriers and cultural differences often led to misunderstandings. Still, progress was made. Humanity learned how to harness energy sources previously thought impossible, while the aliens marveled at humanity's creativity and adaptability. One breakthrough came when Dr. Ananya Patel, a physicist from India, successfully reverse-engineered a piece of alien tech that allowed for instantaneous communication across vast distances. Dubbed the quantum link, this device enabled real-time conversations between humans and aliens without the delays caused by light speed limitations. For the first time, people could speak directly with beings from another world, asking questions and sharing stories. The quantum link became a symbol of hope, proof that two vastly different civilizations could find common ground. But not everyone welcomed the changes brought about by the alien presence. In rural areas far removed from the bustling cities, skepticism ran high. Farmers and laborers who had little access to the advancements shared by urban centers felt left behind. Rumors spread like wildfire, fueled by fear and misinformation. Some claimed the aliens were secretly harvesting resources from Earth, while others believed they were planning to replace humanity altogether. These conspiracy theories found fertile ground among those struggling to make ends meet, further widening the divide between urban and rural communities. In one such community, a small town called Maplewood nestled deep in the American Midwest, tensions reached a boiling point. The townsfolk had always prided themselves on self-reliance, but the arrival of the aliens had shattered their sense of security. Many feared that the invaders would seize their land, leaving them homeless and destitute. One man, however, refused to give in to despair. His name was Jack Thompson, a retired mechanic with a knack for fixing things others deemed beyond repair. Jack had spent his life working with his hands, building engines and repairing machinery. When news of the alien invasion reached Maplewood, he immediately set to work fortifying the town. Using scrap metal salvaged from old cars and farm equipment, he constructed defensive barriers around the perimeter. He also rigged up a network of sensors designed to detect any unusual activity. Though rudimentary compared to the aliens' advanced systems, Jack's creations gave the townspeople a sense of control over their fate. Word of Jack's efforts soon spread beyond Maplewood, inspiring similar initiatives in other rural areas. People began to realize that survival didn't require cutting-edge technology. It required ingenuity, determination, and teamwork. Slowly but surely, these isolated communities started to connect, forming networks of support that rivaled anything seen in the cities. They shared resources, exchanged information, and even coordinated defense strategies. What had once been pockets of resistance grew into a grassroots movement, proving that humanity's strength lay not just in its brightest minds, but in its everyday heroes. Back aboard the lead Star Destroyer, the alien commander watched these developments with growing unease. Reports from reconnaissance missions painted a picture of a species that refused to back down, no matter the odds. Even after months of peaceful interaction, humans continued to innovate, finding ways to protect themselves against potential threats. Underground bunkers expanded into sprawling complexes, equipped with weapons capable of targeting alien ships. Satellites armed with experimental EMP devices orbited the planet, ready to disable alien systems at a moment's notice. What troubled the commander most, however, was the unshakable spirit of humanity. Despite the challenges they faced, humans never lost hope. Artists painted murals celebrating unity, musicians composed songs of resilience, and writers penned stories of triumph. These acts of creativity served as reminders that humanity valued more than survival. They valued connection, purpose, and meaning. It was a perspective the aliens struggled to understand. Determined to gain deeper insight into human nature, the commander ordered his envoys to immerse themselves in Earth's culture. Alien diplomats attended concerts, visited museums, and participated in local festivals. They observed families gathering for meals, friends laughing over shared jokes, and strangers helping one another in times of need. Through these experiences, they began to grasp what made humanity unique: their capacity for empathy, their drive to create, and their unwavering belief in a better future. One envoy, named Zinara, became particularly fascinated by Earth's traditions of storytelling. She spent hours listening to elders recount tales passed down through generations, each story filled with lessons about courage, love, and perseverance. Inspired by what she learned, Zinara proposed an idea to her superiors: a joint project to document humanity's journey alongside the aliens. This initiative, dubbed the Galactic Chronicles, aimed to preserve the memories and achievements of both species for posterity. The proposal was met with enthusiasm on both sides. Humans saw it as an opportunity to share their history and culture with the universe, while the aliens viewed it as a way to foster mutual understanding. Teams of writers, artists, and historians came together to compile the chronicles, blending human narratives with alien perspectives. The result was a masterpiece, a living record of two civilizations coming together despite their differences. As the galactic chronicles took shape, so too did humanity's role in the cosmos. Joint research stations sprang up across the globe, staffed by human and alien scientists working side by side. These facilities focused on solving some of the universe's greatest mysteries, from harnessing sustainable energy to exploring distant galaxies. Students dreamed of becoming astronauts, eager to venture beyond Earth's atmosphere and explore the stars. Even children played games inspired by the collaboration, imagining themselves as pioneers charting new frontiers. Yet, amidst all the excitement, there were moments of reflection. People paused to remember those who had sacrificed everything to ensure humanity's survival. Memorials were erected in honor of fallen soldiers, scientists, and ordinary citizens whose bravery had paved the way for peace. These tributes served as reminders that progress came at a cost, and that every step forward was built on the foundation of countless sacrifices. Years later, when historians looked back on this period, they called it the Era of Awakening. The day Earth realized it wasn't alone in the universe, and that it had much to offer, even to civilizations far older and more advanced. High above, where the star destroyers once loomed menacingly, now floated symbols of cooperation, joint human-alien research stations exploring the cosmos together. In the end, it wasn't weapons or technology that saved humanity. It was the unyielding belief that tomorrow could always be better than today. And so, the story of Earth's encounter with the alien fleet became legend, a tale passed down through generations, inspiring countless others to dream of a brighter future. For though the universe was vast and full of mysteries, one truth remained constant. When faced with adversity, humanity's spirit burned brightest. The Era of Awakening had transformed Earth in ways no one could have imagined. Humanity, once isolated and divided, now stood shoulder to shoulder with an alien civilization that had initially inspired terror. Together, they explored the stars, shared knowledge, and built a future neither species could have achieved alone. But beneath the surface of this newfound unity lay lingering questions about trust, identity, and what it truly meant to coexist. On board the lead star destroyer, the alien commander gazed at holographic projections of Earth's surface. The planet below was unrecognizable from the chaotic world he had first encountered months ago. Cities gleamed with advanced technology powered by alien energy sources, while sprawling research facilities dotted the landscape. Humans and aliens worked side by side, their collaboration yielding breakthroughs in medicine, engineering, and space exploration. Yet, despite these achievements, the commander couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. Reports from his advisors painted a complex picture. While many humans embraced the partnership, others remained skeptical, viewing the aliens as invaders cloaked in diplomacy. Underground movements had begun to form, fueled by conspiracy theories and fear of losing cultural identity. In remote corners of the globe, resistance groups stockpiled weapons and plotted acts of sabotage. These factions argued that humanity was sacrificing its independence for the promise of progress, a trade-off they weren't willing to make. One such group operated out of the dense jungles of South America, led by a man named Diego Morales. A former soldier turned revolutionary, Diego had spent years fighting against oppressive regimes before retreating to the wilderness. When the aliens arrived, he saw them not as saviors, but as yet another force threatening humanity's autonomy. "We cannot let them dictate our future," he told his followers during secret meetings under the cover of night. "If we lose who we are, then we've already lost everything." Diego's group wasn't alone. Similar cells sprang up across the globe, each driven by a desire to reclaim humanity's destiny. Some focused on sabotaging joint projects, planting explosives near research stations, or hacking into communication networks. Others spread propaganda, using social media to amplify fears and sow discord. Their efforts created cracks in the fragile alliance between humans and aliens, forcing both sides to confront uncomfortable truths. Back on Earth, tensions came to a head when a major incident rocked the global community. A research station in Australia, one of the largest collaborative efforts between humans and aliens, was attacked by an unknown group. Explosions tore through the facility, destroying years of work and injuring dozens of scientists, both human and alien. The attack sent shockwaves around the world, reigniting debates about security and trust. Was this an isolated act of violence or the beginning of something larger? Ambassador Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of the crisis. Tasked with maintaining peace between the two species, she faced mounting pressure from all sides. World leaders demanded stricter measures to prevent further attacks, while alien envoys urged restraint, warning that overreaction could undo months of progress. Elena knew she had to tread carefully. Any misstep could shatter the fragile bond holding humanity and the aliens together. Determined to find answers, Elena traveled to the site of the attack. What she found there chilled her to the bone. Kyanki. The wreckage were remnants of homemade explosives and cryptic messages scrawled on walls. No more chains. It was clear that this wasn't random vandalism. It was a calculated strike aimed at undermining the alliance. But who was behind it? And why? As investigators worked tirelessly to uncover the perpetrators, rumors swirled about potential motives. Some speculated that rogue nations sought to destabilize the partnership, hoping to gain an advantage over their rivals. Others believed the attacks were orchestrated by extremists within humanity, determined to resist alien influence at any cost. Still, there were whispers of a darker possibility, that elements within the alien fleet might be testing humanity's resolve, pushing them to reveal weaknesses that could be exploited later. Amidst the chaos, ordinary people struggled to make sense of the situation. For every person who condemned the attacks, there was another who sympathized with the attackers' grievances. Social media became a battleground, with arguments raging over whether humanity should prioritize independence or cooperation. Artists captured the turmoil in murals and songs, while writers penned essays exploring the ethical dilemmas posed by the alliance. Even children felt the weight of the conflict, their playground games reflecting the tension between trust and suspicion. In Maplewood, Jack Thompson watched the news unfold with a heavy heart. He had always believed in self-reliance, but the events of recent weeks forced him to reconsider his stance. The attack on the Australian research station hit close to home. One of the injured scientists was a young woman from his town who had dreamed of studying the stars. Her injuries left her bedridden, her dreams shattered. Seeing her suffering made Jack realize that isolation wasn't the answer. If humanity wanted to protect itself, it needed allies, not enemies. With renewed determination, Jack reached out to other rural communities, urging them to join forces with the aliens rather than fight against them. He organized town hall meetings where residents could voice their concerns and learn more about the benefits of collaboration. Slowly but surely, attitudes began to shift. People started to see the aliens not as conquerors but as partners, working together to build a better future. Meanwhile, aboard the lead star destroyer, the alien commander grappled with his own doubts. Reports indicated that some factions within his fleet questioned the wisdom of allying with humanity. They argued that humans were too unpredictable, too volatile, to be trusted. Others pointed to the recent attack as proof that humanity would never fully embrace the partnership. The commander listened to these voices, weighing their concerns against his growing admiration for humanity's resilience and creativity. To better understand the situation, he ordered Zenara, the envoy fascinated by human storytelling, to conduct interviews with people from all walks of life. She traveled across the globe, speaking with scientists, farmers, artists, and activists. Each conversation deepened her appreciation for humanity's complexity. She learned that fear often masked hope, anger concealed longing, and resistance stemmed from a desire to preserve what mattered most. Zenara compiled her findings into a report presented to the Alien Council. Humanity is flawed, she admitted, but so are we. Their imperfections do not diminish their value. They enhance it. By embracing their differences, we can grow stronger together. Her words resonated with many, though dissenting voices remained. Ultimately, it was Ambassador Elena Rodriguez who brokered a solution. Recognizing that neither side could move forward without addressing underlying fears, she proposed a series of open dialogues. Communities affected by the attacks were invited to share their stories, while alien envoys explained their intentions and answered questions. These discussions weren't easy. They exposed raw emotions and painful truths, but they laid the groundwork for healing. Over time, the rifts began to mend. Security measures were implemented to protect collaborative projects, while safeguards ensured that humanity retained control over its decisions. Resistance groups gradually disbanded, their members reassured by the transparency and accountability introduced into the partnership. Though challenges remained, the spirit of cooperation prevailed. Years later, when historians reflected on this turbulent period, they called it the turning point. The day humanity and the aliens chose understanding over fear, unity over division. High above, where the star destroyers once loomed menacingly, now floated symbols of hope, joint ventures reaching for the stars. In the end, it wasn't weapons or technology that saved humanity. It was the unyielding belief that tomorrow could always be better than today, and so, the story of Earth's encounter with the alien fleet became legend, a tale passed down through generations, inspiring countless others to dream of a brighter future. For though the universe was vast and full of mysteries, one truth remained constant. When faced with adversity, humanity's spirit burned brightest. The turning point had reshaped the relationship between humanity and the alien fleet. What began as fear and mistrust evolved into a fragile yet hopeful partnership, one that tested the limits of both species' ability to adapt and coexist. But peace was never easy to maintain, especially when two vastly different civilizations collided. The scars of past conflicts lingered, and the journey toward true unity required sacrifices no one could have foreseen. On board the lead Star Destroyer, the alien commander stood before his council, reviewing the latest updates from Earth. The reports painted a mixed picture. Joint projects flourished, scientific breakthroughs accelerated, and cultural exchanges deepened understanding. Yet beneath the surface, tensions simmered. Resistance groups continued to operate in secret, their actions sporadic but impactful. Sabotage attempts disrupted supply lines, while propaganda campaigns fueled resentment among those who felt left behind by the rapid advancements brought about by the Alliance. "We are walking a fine line," the commander admitted to his advisors. "If we push too hard for progress, we risk alienating humanity further. If we pull back, they may see it as weakness." His words hung heavy in the air, underscoring the delicate balance they had to strike. For every step forward, there seemed to be an equal measure of setbacks. It was becoming clear that building trust would take more than treaties and technology. It would require something deeper, something intangible. Back on Earth, Ambassador Elena Rodriguez faced her own challenges. Her role as mediator between humans and aliens had grown increasingly complex, demanding not just diplomacy but empathy. She traveled extensively, visiting communities affected by recent attacks and engaging with leaders from both sides. Each trip revealed new layers of complexity, forcing her to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature and her own biases. One such visit took her to Nairobi, Kenya, where a group of local activists had organized a summit titled Voices of Tomorrow. The event brought together representatives from marginalized communities, farmers, factory workers, indigenous leaders, all of whom felt excluded from the benefits of the human-alien partnership. Their grievances were valid. While urban centers thrived under the influx of advanced technology, rural areas struggled to keep up. Resources were unevenly distributed, leaving many behind. Elena listened intently as speakers shared their stories. A farmer named Kofi spoke passionately about how his crops failed due to environmental changes caused by alien terraforming experiments. An elder from a Maasai tribe described how sacred lands were being repurposed for research facilities without proper consultation. And a young girl named Amara tearfully recounted how her family's home had been demolished to make way for a new power plant. "These are our people," Elena reminded herself. "They deserve a voice, just as much as anyone else. Determined to address these concerns, she worked with local leaders to establish a task force focused on equitable development. Its mission was simple: ensure that all communities benefited from the partnership, not just the privileged few. Though progress was slow, the initiative marked a turning point in how humanity approached collaboration with the aliens. Meanwhile, aboard the Star Destroyer Zainara, the envoy captivated by human storytelling, continued her efforts to bridge the gap between the two species. Inspired by the resilience she witnessed during her travels, she proposed a bold idea: a shared cultural festival celebrating the achievements of both humans and aliens. Dubbed the Galactic Harmony Festival, the event aimed to foster mutual respect through art, music, and tradition. Preparations for the festival spanned months, involving artists, musicians, and performers from across the globe. Humans showcased their creativity with vibrant murals, soulful melodies, and intricate dances, while aliens contributed holographic displays, harmonic frequencies, and gravity-defying performances. The result was a spectacle unlike anything ever seen, a testament to what could be achieved when two civilizations embraced their differences. The festival culminated in a grand ceremony held in New York City's Central Park. Thousands gathered to witness the event, their faces illuminated by glowing projections of Earth and distant stars. Speeches were delivered, songs were sung, and stories were told, each reminding everyone present of the shared journey they were undertaking. At the heart of the celebration stood a massive sculpture crafted jointly by human and alien artisans, a towering representation of unity, its intertwined forms symbolizing the bond between the two species. Yet even as the festival inspired hope, shadows loomed on the horizon. In the weeks that followed, intelligence reports revealed troubling developments. A faction within the alien fleet, dissatisfied with the commander's lenient approach, plotted to seize control of key resources on Earth. They argued that humanity's resistance proved it was unworthy of trust, and that only strict dominance could secure their objectives. Their plans included covert operations designed to destabilize human governments and discredit the commander's leadership. When news of the plot reached the commander, he acted swiftly. Calling an emergency meeting of the council, he confronted the dissenters head-on. "We came here seeking allies," he declared firmly, "not subjects. Humanity has shown us time and again that they are capable of greatness. To betray them now would be to betray ourselves." His words carried weight, rallying support from those who believed in the alliance. Together, they dismantled the rogue faction's plans, arresting key conspirators and reinforcing commitments to peaceful cooperation. While the incident left lingering doubts, it also strengthened the resolve of those dedicated to preserving the partnership. For humanity, the revelation served as a wake-up call. It became clear that trust was a two-way street. Just as humans questioned the aliens' motives, so too did factions within the fleet harbor suspicions. This realization prompted a renewed effort to build transparency into the alliance. Joint oversight committees were formed, ensuring that decisions affecting both species were made collaboratively. Regular audits monitored resource distribution, while public forums provided platforms for airing grievances and proposing solutions. As years passed, the partnership matured into something greater than either side had imagined. Humans ventured beyond Earth, exploring distant planets alongside their alien counterparts. Space stations orbiting faraway stars became hubs of innovation, where scientists unraveled the mysteries of the universe. Artists created masterpieces inspired by their experiences, capturing the beauty of interstellar landscapes and the wonder of encountering other life forms. Even Jack Thompson, the retired mechanic from Maplewood, found himself drawn into this new era of exploration. Though initially skeptical, he grew to appreciate the opportunities the alliance offered. When a recruitment drive came to his town, inviting volunteers to join a mission to colonize a habitable moon, Jack surprised everyone by signing up. "It's not about leaving Earth behind," he explained to his neighbors. "It's about proving that we can go farther, do better, and still stay true to who we are." Jack's decision inspired others to follow suit. Families packed their belongings, embarking on journeys that promised adventure and discovery. Entire communities relocated to newly established colonies, carrying with them the values and traditions that defined their identities. These settlements became melting pots of culture, blending human ingenuity with alien innovation to create societies unlike any seen before. Years later, when historians looked back on this period, they called it the dawn of eternity, the day humanity stepped fully into the cosmos, guided not by fear or ambition but by hope. High above, where the star destroyers once loomed menacingly, now floated symbols of unity, joint ventures reaching for the stars. In the end, it wasn't weapons or technology that saved humanity. It was the unyielding belief that tomorrow could always be better than today. And so, the story of Earth's encounter with the alien fleet became legend, a tale passed down through generations, inspiring countless others to dream of a brighter future. For though the universe was vast and full of mysteries, one truth remained constant. When faced with adversity, humanity's spirit burned brightest.